Welcome to Rex Living, where everyday life gets a little more beautiful. This is part 2 of Travel With Me to Vegas. Now, if you watched part 1, you already know we're not doing the typical Vegas thing. No chaos, no all-night nightclub tour. This is design, experience, and just figuring out what's actually worth your time here. Day 3. We finally made it to the Sphere. I've been wanting to see this in person for a while. Not even just for the shows. I wanted to understand the building. Because from the outside, it's kind of insane. But what matters is how it feels once you're inside. And walking in, it's surprisingly quiet. Nothing is aggressive. Nothing is screaming for attention. Instead, everything just starts to shift. The walls curve, the lighting softens, and you kind of feel yourself being guided without realizing it. It's very controlled design, very intentional. If you go, don't rush it. Walk slowly through the entry. Look at the bars, the materials, the lighting. There's lots of details. All of it's happening all around you, and it's just not very obvious. You've got to take the time to look. Then you finally get to your seat. And it looks like a normal theater, which is the trick. They've created this illusion where the screens mimic architecture, fake speakers, fake walls, so your brain settles in and thinks, okay, I know what this is. And then it completely flips on you. We saw The Wizard of Oz, and honestly, the audience alone was entertaining. There were people fully dressed up, like not halfway committed, full looks. I respect the level of dedication. The film itself feels familiar, but also not. They've rebuilt the entire environment so it wraps around you. And if you actually pay attention, everything is moving. Leaves, flowers, background elements. It's not static at all. During the tornado scene, you start feeling wind moving through the space, leaves blowing around. At one point, they drop foam apples from the ceiling, which sounds ridiculous, but it works. I actually got to bring one home. Don't tell them. And then the monkeys fly overhead. It's immersive without trying too hard. You kind of stop analyzing it and just go with it. And that's when it works best. Once the movie is over, they actually do this very cool after show in the lobby. And they have a hot air balloon, and the Wizard of Oz is actually there talking with the audience. It's very cool, so stick around for that. After that, we went over to the Wynn. I've always heard people talk about it, but this was the first time I actually slowed down and paid attention to the details. And it's really well done. Not flashy, not over the top, just finished. The gardens feel layered and intentional. The mosaic floors are kind of wild when you stop and actually look at them. And there's this massive waterfall outside that adds this constant ambient sound. It's one of the few places in Vegas that actually feels calm. We both looked at each other and were like, yeah, next time we're going to stay here. Then it was time for lunch. We walked over to the Venetian food hall that's off the casino, and there are 2 of my very favorite sandwich places from different parts of the world there. One from Florence and one from New Orleans. So obviously we had to eat there. We had one day and one the next. And let me tell you, if you've never been to either one of these, you've got to go. Now we move to dinner. We didn't plan it. Honestly, don't overthink food in Vegas. Just open table and see what's available. You'll end up somewhere you wouldn't have picked otherwise. And that's how we landed at Cheri. And this one hits a little different. I proposed to my husband on the Eiffel Tower, so sitting here right underneath it felt very full circle. It's one of those moments where Vegas actually feels personal for a second. And then you look up and you're directly across from the Bellagio Fountains. So you're having dinner and the fountain show is just happening in front of you like it's part of the experience. The food was good, dessert was good, but honestly, it's the setting that makes it. The next couple days were slower. Pool, walking the strip, a little shopping, nothing structured. And I think that's something Vegas actually does really well. You can be busy or you can do absolutely nothing and still feel like you're in it. I liked seeing the different resorts, different storefronts. There's always something you don't have back home. On the last day, we had a red eye back to the East Coast, so we had some time to wander a bit more. We went over to the ARIA and had dim sum at Din Tai Fung. Now I know I'm probably butchering that pronunciation. The food was very good, a little bit different from what I'm used to here locally, but it was really solid. The space, though, is very open. Huge windows, a lot of volume, almost too much. It felt a little like sitting in an airport terminal. I kept thinking, bring the ceiling down, add some layering, and it would completely change the experience. It's one of those design tweaks that makes a big difference. After that, we walked over to the shops at Crystals. This is not casual shopping. It is high-end luxury shopping. But the reason to go isn't really the stores, it's the building. Designed by Daniel Libeskind, and if you've seen his work, it's instantly recognizable. All these sharp, fractured forms, unexpected angles, levels cutting through each other. It doesn't try to be easy to understand, and that's why it's interesting. I've liked his work since architecture school, especially after seeing the Jewish Museum in Berlin. And this feels like a continuation of that language, just in a completely different context. Last stop before heading out was the Arte Museum, there at the Crystals. It's one of those immersive projection exhibits similar to the Van Gogh experience if you've done one of those. They had a collaboration with Musée d'Orsay, so you're surrounded by these massive projected artworks. One room was all flowers, very calm, almost meditative. Another was waves. Same space, completely different energy. They also had a Vegas installation with all the lights and movement, which felt very on brand for the locality. And then there's this mirrored lantern room that just repeats infinitely. That one was probably my favorite. It actually reminded me of the Swarovski factory in Austria. Same kind of surreal, endless effect. If you're not into the club scene, this is such a good alternative. And if you do end up going to the Arte Museum, here's one more hot tip. Definitely wear white. On the walk back to grab our bags, we caught the Bellagio Fountains one last time. Kind of a perfect way to end it. Well, that's Vegas. Not what people expect, but honestly, better. Please like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next video.